Are you guys ready to hear about what it means to own your intelligence? Well, Zuckerberg spilled all your information onto the web last week, so if you're not ready, I promise you're in the right place. Buckle up as we chat once again with Mikey, Jesse, Leni, and Aaron from the THINK Agent and Futureverse teams respectively. It's time we all truly understand what it means and how important it is to own our own intelligence. Hosted by WagMeHub, powered by Futureverse. And of course we did this on purpose, man. Look at Mikey. Is he having a great time over there or what? Anyways, it's time to start the show. So as you D-Gens say, let's cook. Dave, Bildo, Ms. Gekko, over to you.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the 4th episode of All On Board. That was this entire crew right here, immortalized in that one poster. And Mikey seems to be having an absolute blast. Excited that you guys can obviously all join us. We got a packed house over here today on stage. We ditched Twitter Spaces. We said we're moving on up. We're doing X broadcast. Let me go around and just say what's up to everybody. X, Bildo, what's good?
Awesome intro. I feel like for whatever reason, the way the mouth was moving, it was Jesse talking to me, and I'm like, that's not Jesse's voice. Like, I don't get, and I'm just kind of smiling. Aaron's very stoic up in the corner, but yeah, awesome intro and super happy to be here.
Good stuff. Gex, what's good?
I think she's backstage. I think she dropped in to get brought back up.
Gex, you with us?
I got you. How's it going, guys? We're excited for today, episode 4. Let's go. Hi, Leni. I'm so excited to chat with you, Mikey and Jesse. I've heard many spaces that you guys have been on, so I'm super excited for today.
Let's go. And we get to see everybody's beautiful faces, man. Aaron, what's up?
Is that a slight towards me, I'm wondering?
No. Oh, no, not at all. You have a lovely avatar. Aaron, what's up?
Hey, yeah, I'm good. Early morning here, crisp over here in New Zealand. Excited to be on with these young fellas, these gentlemen. Lots of cool stuff going on in their world, and I think a very apt time for the conversation that they're about to bring to us and have been sharing with the rest of the community for some time now. Couldn't be even any more clear that the work that we have been doing together is important than I think in the last week or so. So loving the opportunity to get into that and kind of see why.
I like that. I like it. Leni, what's up with you? How are you?
I'm doing great. Happy to be here. And yeah, just to echo what Aaron said, a lot of events over the past few weeks, even honestly, constantly, that just kind of bolster our need for owning our intelligence and our data. So I'm excited to jump into that as well.
Let's go. I love it. Jesse, you actually might have been having the best time. I had to redo that video a couple times. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It turned out that you had the ball, but what's good, boys? How are you?
Good. We just got off the train. So we just came from Seattle to Portland. We're actually, the next 3 weeks, we're going to be traveling around interviewing and doing little documentaries on the 3 companies we're incubating on top. And so in Portland to talk about the first company, and then California next week, and then Nashville the week after that. So everybody can kind of meet the companies that we're incubating. But it's funny because in that intro, you talked about a video we actually shot on the train down and just posted where Mike was talking about the Instagram stuff. I shot it over to you too, Aaron, but it's kind of perfect timing.
Yeah, agreed. And that's going to be the jump off. But Mikey, what's up, man? It's good to see you and that beard, bro. I miss you.
Yeah, miss you too, man. I'm just loving seeing Miss Gekko here. Miss Gekko's a really good avatar here.
Let's go.
Miss Gekko, will you be my hype gal?
Absolutely. Let's go, Mikey. Let's go.
Yeah. So what we've been doing at Think Agents is we've been creating AI you can own. That might sound simple, but there's a lot of complexity when you can own AI. You own your data. You own all the agents and their skills, and you own the ability to control their future. And so in order to do that, we've had to create stuff about as complicated as creating the original internet. And we're also adding the blockchain on that so that these agents can have a source of truth and the ability to transact. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, good stuff. And I feel like that is the perfect segue, right? I don't know how many billions of records it was. And Aaron, maybe I'll just kind of kick it over to you, and you kind of start us off. How relevant is this conversation right now, just pending that news when we saw it was It was Facebook, Instagram, Google, Apple. I mean, something like to the tune of like 13 or 16 billion user records or something like that. And it's just like, what are y'all doing?
That's like one instance of the problems. And just to back up like what Mikey is saying, like this is something that we kind of predicted as an outcome or like a need for humanity years ago, and it's like got lots of complex little bits in it. And we'd been building a bunch, and just for the background here, and the Think team have been building a bunch. And we put those two things together, and I think now we're super close to launching what is this kind of full end-to-end own your own intelligence proposition. The release of those credentials, I think, was a little bit overhyped because it was not new breaches. It was just like a kind of packaging up of all of the old breaches, but it does illustrate how vulnerable even these big tech companies are to intrusions and to people being able to get access to those credentials and then have access to your life, essentially. As we move down this track of like intelligence being our persona on the internet and in the metaverse, whatever you want to call it, it's going to know even more about us than it knows now, and it's going to do more for us than it does now. And so that credentialing problem becomes exponentially riskier for humanity. So that is like a really good example of classical failures, historical failures in technology that have led to putting people's personal lives and information at risk. The more recent thing, which I think we were all referencing, was the fact that people have been chatting to Meta's AI and asking it all sorts of intimate questions, questions about, relationships and personal health issues and tax issues and criminal liability issues. And that information was being publicly posted for other people to discover. And
on their Facebook page. So they thought they were doing it on Instagram, but it was actually posting all that to their Facebook without them knowing.
How did I not see? Oh my God.
So that goes to illustrate, like, first of all, no technology company is infallible. Things shit happens. But at the same time, when you're dealing with something like this, the shit that happens can be very meaningful to people. And so
people were talking about like stepping out on their spouses and stuff.
Yeah.
And it was getting
and
posted
worse
to their Facebook and worse to all of their closest friends and family members.
Oh my God. It's like confession on like an MP3 level.
This is an episode of the Black Mirror. I'm convinced right now.
And so if you think about that as the backdrop and years and years of, these 16 billion credentials is a good example that have been collected over years and years of breaches and mistakes that people make. People make mistakes. The idea that these companies can protect us or have the systems to protect us or even have our best interests at heart when it comes to protecting us has to be the stupidest idea you ever heard of. And so the only solution that exists where you can have some control of your destiny is if you own it, if it's yours, if you control it, if it's locked with your keys, if it's on your device. And so there's no like kind of gray area here. The more we use these big centralized AI, the higher the risk will be that some disaster happens, either like kind of universally or like personally and individually. And so the only alternate is to do the hard work that takes a long time, that is extremely technical, to build the alternative that gives people at least the choice to opt into a different system. And that's what Think is all about.
Holy shit. You know what's crazy is when you even Google the story, they probably scrub the search results also, because like there's really not like that's a huge story, Jesse. Like, are you kidding?
Yeah, dude, we just did a video on it, like on the train ride down. But I mean, we were trying to find, and so we could cite our sources, it was hard to find the information so we could even cite it.
Yeah, Mikey, go for it.
Oh, we're living in a world where information is already almost impossible to verify, and it's only getting crazier, right? Like at this point in time, I was just watching a video of a lady who was making 200 Instagram reels simultaneously on her computer at once, right? So it's like literally breaking it up. And like we're entering into the AI slop world. And unless you have credentials and unless you prove on chain that you are something, you have no idea how to know what's true and what's not, and you have no idea how to protect your information. And you know, I was on Meta yesterday or the day before, and I feel like what they do is there's probably some sort of algorithm around, has this person likely been drinking? And then they start to show the little circles. No, but for real, because they start to show the little circles like it's a friend, and like the first one's like lonely neighbor, and the next one was something else, and the third one was an actual horse or a literal horse. And so I just went through and I had a few of the conversations because I just wanted to test it out for this conversation. And the lonely
were
girl
you
was
drunk
not
there,
very
Mikey?
interesting.
Mikey, were you drunk?
Not
Did
enough.
it sense correctly?
not enough to get tricked. But when I hit that and all of a sudden it's now added it to all my DMs across all the Meta platforms, I'm just like, oh shit, like this has broken a social contract. But if all we have is a social contract to rely on, there's not a court that's going to adjudicate that one. You know, that's not a very good thing to keep you safe.
And you want division between these things, right? And so that's why we talk about mind, body, and soul, because one of the things we've been talking about is like Tony Stark would have never used centralized intelligence, right? And so when you look at it, it's like, okay, does anybody remember what Tony's like AI was named?
Jarvis,
that's right. And Jarvis was separate from the machine, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because how many suits did he go through? And that was separate from Tony, right?
Yeah.
Mind, body, and soul. So all of a sudden it's like you can swap out the bodies and all this kind of stuff. But Jarvis, what made Jarvis great is it knew everything about Tony. It even told him like funny jokes about like sexual stuff, but like watch it again.
Yeah.
So if you want your AI to be performant, it's going to have to know everything about you, right? Do you think Tony would like give that information to anybody other than himself?
No.
So it's just funny. Even when you look at like probably the greatest technologist in like lore, go look at how he did it. He broke it up into mind, body, and soul, right? And also like he owned that top to bottom. You see what I'm saying? For these very types of reasons, because this Facebook thing, it's a snafu, right? But like, and the other thing too is remember, like, I mean, Mike, you've talked about this quite a bit too. Like in the court case that OpenAI has right now with Microsoft, they have to hold all of your chats, right? Already. And so
with New York Times,
like, yep. Was it New York Times, right? It's like, so everything you say to your LLM can and will be used against you on top of all this other, you know, snafus like the Meta thing, right?
Wow.
It's actual discovery now.
This is huge. This is exactly like you said, another layer of discovery. And Jesse, I did pin the link to your guys' video, and this was just posted an hour ago, guys. He's not kidding. When they were on the train, the link is pinned underneath the stream on X if you guys want to check it out. And I will be checking it out right after this stream.
Good stuff, Gex. All right. Yeah. So make bring this all together now, guys, right? Like, how does Think solve this like specific problem? Like directly, like as simple and as easy as you can tell everybody that's tuned in right now, like we fix this way, ... Go for it.
Yeah. So here's the key. There's two ways that you can go. You can either rent your intelligence or you can own it. And renting it, you've got companies that are spending tens of billions of dollars. And they're just burning that money. And guess what? They're going to need to not only return those tens of billions, they're going to need a return on investment that's going to go crazy. And guess where they're going to get that from? They're going to get it from changing your behavior or selling your information to somebody else. So that's over here. Over here, we have what does it look like to own your intelligence? It's on your machine. You own the software. The software is all open source, completely fully auditable. All of the authentication and transactions happen via blockchain, which is all fully audited, fully auditable, and fully in the open. And so in this way, we're able to create a system where instead of being on somebody else's big server, you host it right there on your machine. So like I've got a Mac Mini, not even super expensive. That Mac Mini can actually run a lot of these models. It can actually do a lot of this stuff. And then it can call out to third-party services like Venice and Render and other GPU networks whenever the time comes up. And so we're actually able to make AI you fully own.
And everything we're doing is fully open source. So like Mike is running this stuff locally, right? So Mike, what's your monthly cost, inference cost?
0.
So like what people still haven't connected the dots on when we say free think is like kind of like the tagline. It's like we want to get to the point where it's like, cool, we open sourced everything, you know, whatever. Bildo's running it on his phone or his laptop, and it's like, what's our rake? It's like, how would we even charge for there's nothing, we don't, it's all happening on your computer with completely open source software.
Yeah.
Right. And so we're going to have like an agent you can buy. And the only reason that you'd even have that agent is if you wanted to take that agent and monetize it. And then that money just goes back to the foundation, which is used to just like keep this foundation going. But there's no like ongoing cost of any of this stuff because we've hit the point, which is really cool. Like we think local is the killer app, right? Local and private. And so when you can add open source, because in essence, what we're betting on is it's almost like our strategy is just like generosity. We're just going to give it away to everybody. What do we hope happens? Because the only way is like we're a small company. The only way we compete with these giant companies is to get a bunch of engineers looking at what we're doing and going like, I want to help build that.
Yeah, and
that's
build
it.
Cool shit on top of it.
That's it. So like when you're looking at what we're doing, like if you've seen demos of Souls and things like that, it's like, what is it? It's like, we're trying to get it to a baseline where it works, and then we go, cool, it's everybody's. Now what? Now nothing. We're just contributors like everyone else, but we've connected it all together so that you don't have to.
Yeah.
And then the cool thing is the community's coming. Like we already have a once a week we get together, and there's usually between 40 and 50 builders that come to our builders club. You know, I think Bildo and you guys have been there before.
Yeah.
And we have members of the community like Tiki and different people that are already building stuff that's going to plug right in. So it's like, so what does that mean? It's like, well, whose is it? It's like, well, nobody's. Well, everybody's. I don't know. And everything's happening on your local device, right?
Yeah.
And if you have a device like Mike's got a new Mac Mini, and if all of a sudden you're like, well, I want to run it, but I don't have an expensive machine, it's like, cool. Well, you automatically get a free account to Venice. What's the cost on that? Well, it's a free account to Venice.
Yeah.
So what's your all-in cost? You're like, for what? You see what I'm saying?
It's like a game of who's on first. Yeah. I mean,
exactly.
I get it. Yeah.
And then if somebody's like, hey, I want to take my agent and I want to monetize it and all that, it's like, cool. Well, you know, it's $100. You know, go back to helping, you know, create like incentive pools to get it. It's like goes to this non-for-profit, and you're like, and that's it. That's what we're betting on. And then so what we're doing now is we have a whole team working on the Souls platform, which is super cool, and it's cool to have people like messing with it and all that kind of stuff. But now we're incubating 3 other companies on top of it, and so they're going to be standalone companies. One of them is like a financial vault. Other one is like, you know, a video game thing, and then another one is like all these creative tools. And they all stand on their own, but they're natively plugged directly into Souls as well. So that's cool. Now, after we get the platform out there and it's open source, we're just going to keep finding great companies, trying to help get them up and going and incubating them. And then we just keep building around this property, and then hopefully it takes off.
I love that.
That's it. It's not as complicated as like, because here's the thing, what Aaron said is exactly right. We're like, it's a simple solution to a very fucking difficult problem.
Yeah.
Because actually finding people like Leni that know how to do this kind of stuff is incredibly hard.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, Leni, you could talk to that a bit better than I can.
Leni?
But it's a very difficult problem that I think has to have a very simple solution, and the very simple solution is free.
Yeah. Leni, tell us, like, what's the deal? How close are we to Think actually becoming the standard out here? What's up? You guys have been busy.
Oh, we've been busy. We've had our heads down. So like Jesse said, we have a demo coming out soon, but the main thing that I'm kind of driving at the moment is our protocols. So when you're creating your agent, right, within the Souls platform or just in general, what does that look like? How do you actually piece that together? So we were just talking before about kind of that loss of control over your personal intelligence, or people not even realizing that owning your own personal intelligence is an option. And so we want that to be seamless in the onboarding within, you know, Souls and our platform, and allowing people to create that cognitive footprint and also create an agent that's collaborative with them and works with, you know, your personality, works with your needs. So whether it's like your personal agent for just your day-to-day workflows or your businesses, kind of segmenting those out and allowing people to put those things together. That's where we're currently at, getting those integrations in. You know, the contracts are all kind of there. We're working with different standards, talking to a lot of different companies about, you know, their solutions, their modules, how they can actually fit in, and making sure that we're not boxing ourselves or anyone else into solutions that only work for us.
And the standards thing is a really big deal. People still don't understand. I think a lot of people think this stuff is baked. It's not. It's
No.
all happening in real time. I think the first Mike, if you want to talk about what you've been working on the standards, because right now I even had a guy hit me up today. He's like, hey, I want to use my mutant with my agent. And I'm like, cool. So do I. Guess what we need? We need standards that connect all these things. And so I think the first meeting where you got together Futureverse and Other Page and all these things was like last week or something. Like, what needs to happen? You need to agree to standards.
This is a great way to think about it.
Yeah.
This is a great way to think about it. Since we met in October of last year, MCP has been identified, created, standardized, and everybody's using it.
Yeah.
A to A has also had the same thing happen. And we're seeing the same thing with, there's about 3 or 4 different protocols that need to be brought together that are all about how agent avatars, agent skins, and all of these things work. And a lot of the biggest projects, like right now we're in the spot where within the next coming few weeks, we'll kind of announce all the projects that are involved in this kind of open avatar standard. But there's real moves here to be able to make mind, body, and soul of agents be interoperable.
Yeah, that's what we talked about briefly last week, was the open avatar standards. That's a really important piece. And just to double down on the standards conversation, that's like where this whole journey started, was how do we create a standard for the DNA of an agent? Like, how do you make this kind of underlying data interoperable with everywhere else? Because if you have ownership and all of those things that the guys are talking about kind of in your own like container, let's say, running on your own device, you definitely want it to be able to like interoperate with other things, and for other builders to build on top of those common set of interfaces so that it can scale to become an internet scale thing. Standards create internet scale things, and that's always been the case. And so right at the beginning, that was the journey. It's like, how do you create standards for agents to how they behave, what their personalities are, what their skill sets are, how they talk to each other, all of these different bits, how they look, all of the bits that the teams have been talking about there come together to create that customer experience. But you have to kind of go underneath the iceberg, build all those little bits, and now we can start to see this demo. I think will really show how all those bits come together. We're also this
demo.
week.
You have a where's the demo at?
The team just spoke that they've got a demo coming out shortly, but this week, probably tomorrow, could be today, but if not today, tomorrow, we'll have the Readyverse enabled with the Altered State plugin. So you'll be able to create your avatar on the Altered State 3D generative site using your mind or a PFP you love, an old NFT that's sat in the drawer and had no utility. You'll be able to pick that up, mint it using this interoperable avatar standard UBF that we created. It will come with a THINK DNA built into it, a genome built into it, and you'll be able to go into the Readyverse and play with that thing with your friends. And so that kind of sets like this kind of embodiment phase of what the team's been talking to everyone about. Then you'll be able to connect that up to the thing that, the Souls platform, for example, and then have that thing agent act on your behalf as well. And so all of the little kind of bits of this very complex puzzle come together in a real simple solution for consumers that they can, navigate simply, connect with simply, use simply.
And you have to understand this is a technical problem. It's also a relational problem. Because you have to get all these teams together. Like we've worked with a few different metaverses, and you actually need real people to sit down with each other and be like, can I show you what I've been working on? What have you been working on? Hey, maybe we could try, like, it's also kind of political. And so people don't understand. A lot of people think that it's like, oh, you just come HTTP or you come up with the standards. Like, you also got to get everybody to agree. And so a lot of times people be like, well, just push the tech out. And you're like, I got to make sure. It's almost like you're
herding
like
cats, bro. It's literally like herding cats.
Right. It'd be like we got to get the whole city to agree to a standard for addresses, so that we can have mail as a protocol. And we're like, well, how's that work? Well, this person owns a big chunk of this part of the city, and and you got to get everybody together. So what's been cool to watch, even with these roundtables that have been happening with Futureverse and Other Page and different folks like that coming together, is it's people becoming friends and going like, all right, can I show you what we're doing? Hey, don't publish this, but can I talk about that? it's the kind of, I remember Mike was talking about the first meeting when everybody got together a couple weeks ago, and I was like, I think this is going to be historic, but nobody's even going to know about it because it's just a Zoom call with everybody. Hey, let's get to know each other first so that everybody knows we all have the same intentions.
Yeah.
Right?
You heard it here first. It's in history now. So
let's go. And Jesse, and I mean, Leni, Mikey, Aaron, we've talked about it before. People seem to think that standards don't belong in decentralization. Not everybody, but some people shy away from it because of that. But we've talked about it before. That is the backbone of being able to be interoperable, which is decentralization. So again, what are your thoughts on that?
It's the Tower of Babel problem.
Yeah. Exactly.
Nothing scales without standards. Nothing. Yeah. Go ahead, Jesse, because that's a great analogy.
No, it's just like, if you're not familiar with that, it's like when everybody had a shared language, they could build something that went from the earth to heaven. As soon as everybody had different languages and you couldn't communicate clearly with each other, it all fell apart. I mean, Mike, you're more technical, but that's what comes to mind. Is it's like, again, if you just think about, people don't think about things like addresses, like a protocol.
Yeah.
In your city, like if it's like, well, already you think about things like this. It's like, okay, if you've never been to London and you're like, you want to drive there, well, switching those standards from which side of the street do you drive on causes a bit of confusion. Almost everything else is the same, but that one change kind of puts you off a little bit, you know?
And you can kind of drive into the other side of the freaking road if you're not really freaking careful. Yeah. So where are we now then? After all these meetings and everything else that you guys have cooking, like where do we stand like right now?
I mean, Mike's been doing it.
Oh, Mikey. Yeah, you've been on the road tour, Mikey. What's up?
So you now have a defined agent, right? Like, so this thing has a boundary that's cryptographically secure. That gives you the ability to both secure data and keys and tokens. It basically gives you a lockbox. And if you look at evolution, right? Like if you think about what a cell is a boundary, and it has a protocol, a standard for how it communicates to the other cells. It puts out hormones. It puts out gradients of sugar. And that might seem weird to us, but like literally a whole human, like this cell and this cell don't talk to each other directly, right? But they are coordinated because they follow a standard. And where we're at right now with it is we now have the ability for each one of these people on this call will be able to take their Think agent. It looks like it's going to be happening in mid-July. And they're going to be able to log into Souls. And then once they log into Souls, now they're able to use their agent and they're able to call tools that they can use, right? That's another standard called MCP. It's only 6-7 months old at this point in time. We've been working around this idea even before it had a name, for example.
Yeah.
And then we're incubating companies that become like the professional agents. And so then there's an additional step on top of the A2A protocol where you need to be able to have Web3 transactions take place. So that's kind of the last piece. Once those Web3 transactions take place, you literally have a complex adaptive system that can grow, because now that you have 3 professional agents that each have fully funded awesome teams behind them, now they're onboarding people. They're saying, hey, I want to use your service. I want to use your service. And they're transacting.
Love it.
I have a question. So, I've created a ton of stuff using Altered State. I think I'm the biggest holder now. I mint it every day. And I've developed like a whole like Animal Kingdom type of style. I use the same prompt and then just throw a different animal in it to see what it comes up with. So those particular characters aren't inherently smart or like intelligent, but you could then link it to like a Think agent and then
their bodies. Remember Mind, Body, Soul? Yep.
Yeah. So it's the body that like kind of encompasses that. So it's not each individual character that you're doing is an intelligent character. It has the ability to become intelligent once paired with the actual agent on the Think side.
It has like that base DNA, the thing that standardizes the way that agent might behave, and what its personality might be and all of those kinds of things, so that you can have lots of these things out there and they don't all come out the same. Just like in a human, you can have DNA, but you can have nothing up here. There's lots of people out there that are walking around. You have to put the intelligence in the mind, And so that's that like next layer that the team have been building, that you can connect the DNA of your agent, the things that it like inherently has as underlying properties, and those can be universally understood, like a street address is universally understood. And then developers can build on top of that the brain that goes inside of it. The reason that's really important is because we want anyone to be able to do that. Like Souls is a platform on the protocol. You know, it's building a layer that attaches to the protocol. And if we were to say Souls is the only place you can do that, then that breaks the whole model. That breaks the ownership model, because then we just become another open AI. So you have to have this little bit of glue underneath that means that another person could come along and say, I want to build, you know, a different kind of Souls. Okay, go hard. Like build it on the protocol. Plug into these tools, plug into these wallet systems and cryptography systems and identity systems, and it will work too. And it'll be able to do all the things that other agents can do, and they'll be able to look each other's street address up and talk to each other and do all the cool things. And so, you know, having those kind of isolated elements up the stack enables, we hope enables the thing to scale beyond what we can do ourselves.
We've had people, Bildo, ask us like, but Jesse, couldn't somebody just take this and fork it and make their own thing? We're like, yep,
please do it.
But how do you? Yeah, it's like we're like, we don't even care if we win. If like Dave forks this and he gets mass adoption and everybody gets their own intelligence, we'd be like, go get him, Dave. We don't. We're trying to solve a problem. You know, most people are trying to service a problem, not solve it, right? And the reason you service it, like for instance, healthcare is service. It's like you don't actually want to cure someone. You want to service it because that's where the rake is. We're trying to solve the problem, which means we don't give a shit who solves it. We're going with the brains we have and the hands we have. This is what we can come up with. But if you can fork this thing and you can get mass adoption, we'll be rooting you on.
Love it.
I guess my follow-up question would be, like, I know you guys have talked about different personas within an agent. Are you able to attach a different body to the different personas?
Yeah,
so like essentially your agent could appear in a multitude of varieties and all have a different persona within all of the characters that are embodying it.
Yep, that's right. And so personas, we already built a version of personas for another metaverse, like back in like November. So like the persona stuff, I feel pretty good about. The first version of Souls you're going to see is pretty much like a flow-wise, like type builder, right? Our chat on top of it. And then once we get that really good, we're going to introduce the persona stuff we have. And it's going to be like Legos. We were trying to do too much at the same time, right? And so what we're doing is trying to really nail the chat on top of it. Because even like something like Flowwise is still too complicated.
Yeah.
Right. And then we have this persona stuff we've been building out more on like the storytelling side. But then it's like, and so you want to introduce these, Lenny's trying to, Lenny knows, like we're trying to simplify everything down into these components. And then once you get this working really well, you just kind of clipping these things on. But I would think about the MVP of Souls as really first being just like a builder, a chat. Then what? Builder, chat, personas. Then what? Builder, chat, personas, body. Then you see what I'm saying? And you're stacking these different components together so that you're not trying to do it all at once and it just starts to, bounce into each other. I don't know, Mike or Lenny, you want to?
And just to like distinguish the two things. So the genome that comes with those characters you're building on altered state is like kind of the weightings. It's like I said, it's the DNA. Like you can have a kid grow up to be an angry kid or a happy kid, and that's a combination of the weightings of their DNA and the mind, essentially the personality that grows on top of that. And so the genomes are the underlying weightings, and then on top of that you can adapt that personality through your interactions with it, just like you would with a human, or through the things you teach it, the skills it has, all of those kinds of things. It's going to express its personality differently by the journey it goes on through its agentic life. But it's always rooted in this kind of underlying identity.
I love it because and Lenny, good stuff, Aaron. Lenny also like what everything these guys just said. It's like this is the only thing I see on the timeline is build, ship, feedback, like build or iterate, build, ship, feedback, and then go back and then deliver the next piece, right? So it's not like don't deliver everything at once. And I think that's a really important message for everybody here to hear, where it's like, but it doesn't have this and it doesn't have that. If they spent all the time literally building the thing soup to nuts from the beginning, they'd probably build nothing. And like, it'd be like everything would have moved ahead. So Leni, just curious from your perspective.
Well,
Like,
that's how you do centralized. We're not doing centralized.
Exactly.
yeah.
It's not just about not building anything at all. It's about building the wrong thing. If you were to spend 3 or 4 years just in your own little silo, huddled up building one thing, you're going to ship it out and everyone's going to be like, well, I don't fucking want this. So
or it's irrelevant, and
yeah.
that problem is becoming a bigger and bigger problem to solve because the speed of things is moving up so fast. And so there's a lot. I just want to shout out because there's a lot of work that has gone on for years for the people who believed in this vision of ownership from the point of view that Jesse said is we want humanity to win in this. They put blood, sweat, and tears and more into getting to the point, which I think very soon will be an exciting one to show that it's real and that it can be something that humanity chooses as an alternate path.
Yo, you guys know how to deliver a goddamn message, boy. I swear to God, man.
I'll tell you this too. Like our job is we want to set the standard for building in public and being transparent. So also shit doesn't work. So what I mean by that is like we went super down this path with souls and we built a bunch of stuff. Leni and Steven popped the hood on it and they're like, this doesn't fucking work. We need to use this instead. And we're like, okay. Because it would be stupid. Like, so you're gonna try shit, and then Lenny's gonna look at it and be like, "This is a bad way to do it. We need to ditch this. We can keep this. Throw all that shit away. We're starting over here instead, and we're gonna keep." Yeah,
that's
doing
a really
let me save you the fucking suspense. That's part of the process. You know what I mean as well. And so like people look at it and they're like, "Oh, when you see the next version of Souls, you're gonna be like, oh, it feels like you got rid of labs, you got rid of all these things you demoed." And you're like, yeah, you know why? Because Leni said it was a bad fucking idea and it was getting too complicated. We need to simplify it, and she's right. And so there's also a process of it's almost like expecting to like hit a hole in one the first time or something. That's not actually how building things works. I don't know, Leni, you want to explain why you killed a bunch of stuff or like why we think like that?
I mean, what we have to think about is actually shipping the features that people want, right? So we had a bunch of cool ideas. We're definitely, in an ideas company, and we had maybe 51 different features, all functional to different levels, but all clashing with each other. And it was just, you go into that platform and there's so much to do. There's no streamline. There's no, I just want to talk to my agent. I want to give it data. I want it to behave consistently as well. So when I throw different problems at it, I know how it's going to respond to me and I can work with it collaboratively. And I want to be able to save that and authenticate as well with that data. That's kind of the baseline value that we want to deliver. I don't want to be sitting here, drawing a picture and like it's all distraction. We want to open up this platform so that anyone can come in and say, hey, well, this little feature, this little button is missing for me. I'm going to go and put that in. It's about building out that baseline, that infrastructure so that you guys can come in, you guys can build, you guys can attach. We can have these 3 companies that are being incubated and their products work with the Souls platform. The more that we just add in what we think is cool, the less we have the flexibility to do that. So rip it all out, create a baseline, everyone can come and build on top of it. That's what we're here for.
I mean, it almost seems like the original iPhone, and it would be like, oh, try and ship everything that we now have in iPhone 16 in the original iPhone. When you just want something smooth, easy, a bit more magical of an experience than what like a typical phone used to be, but you don't need, all 100%. The bells and whistles. And then as app developers learn the system, they build and kind of, advance iPhone what it is today, because
that's what people miss is iPhone's a platform. They did the base layer right to enable other people to add the magic and the secret sauce. And protocols are super, super hard. Novel protocols are hard to do. They're hard to standardize. The social problems around standardization exist. The technical problems around building them and standardizing them exist. These processes are not easy. You know, we went through, I think, it would have been maybe 30 years before the world settled on like the standards for the internet of protocol wars. And so these things take time to do, and they are messy in the beginning. But if you can push through and persevere and do, you know, get the steps right to build that platform, then it can scale. And we're not saying, like, no one's standing here saying that we've won this, but I think we're very close to putting a candidate forward that can be a winner.
One of our advisors, a guy named Chris Stipek, and I've known Chris forever, Mike and I have forever. And Chris was on the original Apple.com team. He worked forced jobs. He got hired. The last thing he did was he picked a picture of Steve Jobs when he died. Remember the takeover page? And then he got recruited by Jack, and he went over and he was one of the first people at Square, and he did the Cash App. And so now he has another company, a fintech company, and he's actually one of the companies we're incubating is his new kind of like, it's called Money. He owns money.xyz, and it's like a digital vault for all of your finances. So if you go look at his other company's called Money Kit, you should check it out. They have deal with Robinhood and all sorts of folks. It's pretty cool. And Chris is one of our advisors, along with one of the companies we're incubating, right? And he'll always look at this stuff and he'll be like, cool, who's that for? Right? It's not focused enough. Make it simpler, make it simpler, make it simpler. And you're like, but dude, now it's just going to be like a chat and an agent builder. He's like, yep.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so there's a discipline to that, because it's almost like, I think there's a lot of things we can do, but what's the one thing we should do?
Yeah.
You know, it's hard to figure that out.
So
we've had to teach ourselves that over here, you know, like when you have a big vision, which it should be, your vision should always be big, because it's not worth doing if it's not. But how you get there needs to be in small steps. And so it's a really valuable thing to know about building, if you're a builder out there, is to take that approach. And again, it's a process that all builders probably have to go through and learn. It's not something that's naturally innate in people.
So Jesse, let me ask you this then. So where you're at right now, right? Because it's like, make it simpler, make it simpler, make it simpler. Cool. I have this simple thing now, right? Like Lenny's literally gutted your whole shit. Your VC buddy's like, no, make it easier. Now it's like, bring the builders on, and it's like, now, like,
that's right. And so we already have a list of builders. It's like, we're going to get it in Tiki's hands. Like there's Kona, there's a group of people in our community that we really trust.
Details,
because we want to get it in their hands really fast before. So we just had again, we're going to just, like, we even did a roundtable the other day, because we have our TGs next month, where we like put it in the community's hands of like, here's all the information we know. Also, shout out to Dorian and the crew on the Futureverse side. They helped us a ton, like an absolute ton. And so total professionals, they were awesome. But like, we're just saying like here's everything that's going on. What do you think? Right? Because again, like, we look at it as our actual product here is the community, because it's the only way to build a product that's like a dandelion. Right? We cannot, when you look at, if you see Zuckerberg, they're talking about $100 million packages for executives.
One person.
For one person. Okay. How do you compete with that, other than to say, like, it's going to take a whole bunch of Davids, right, to take on Goliath? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so our approach is just to let everybody in on everything. And so could that backfire? And people go like, wait, you just said Lenny, we just got a bunch of stuff. Like, yeah, but that's what happened. And I'm totally fine with you knowing that shit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So there's a risk there, because a lot of times in technology, there's one of two paths. If we were doing this in a central way, you would do more of what Jobs did, which is like, we thrash with it behind the scenes until it's perfect. It's like, we don't have that much time. We got to get it in people's hands. They got to tell us what they like, what they don't like. We got to collect. It's like, we're betting on the collective wisdom. You know, we're like, there's general principles that we're not going to budge on, but the rest of it, it's like, we have to assume that we're wrong.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I don't know, Mike, do you have anything on this?
Yeah, I mean, this is just how learning works, right? So if we're talking about machine learning, if all of a sudden you took kids in kindergarten and you put them in shop class on day one, you're going to end up with a lot of problems, right? Like, no learning took place.
Missing.
No learning took place. You took lack of wisdom, lack of skills, lack of knowledge, and put it in a situation in which they can't do anything. Yeah. So instead, what we have is we've got a great foundational system for being able to create agents, and we've got a bunch of people who have been building together. We got around 45, 50 people that show up every week. And they're like, most people are like, I either have this idea or I want to support somebody who does have this idea. And that is, everybody there is in the learning process. They're either at the learning process of the tool, all the way up of learning how to build a tool and have a company that they're going to be part of Thinkubator Season 2. And so this is all a learning process. And when you're part of the Think Agent, like what we mean by evolve is we literally mean meta learning. So this, not only do we learn, but the systems get better. And so that's all happening, and that's all by design. And I think we're probably the only place where it's happening in community. I don't see OpenAI bringing in their communities to help them build.
Mikey, I was going to say, like, me and Bildo and Gex talk about this all the time, where it's like that Thursday space that you guys do, I see literally, I don't see anybody else doing it like at the base level, at the ground level, like you guys are, genuinely. So
it's super risky and hard. Not because it's hard to do. It's because it's hard to put yourself out there and build something with the expectation that you might be wrong and you have to change. That, you know, oh, you said this, or it was going to be exactly like that. But actually, no, we were just trying something to see if what we thought worked would work. And if it didn't, we're prepared to change it to the thing that that does work. And that is a super risky thing for a founder to be able to do.
Facts.
Especially in this place where, like, you're going to get every man and his dog like
crucified.
Analyzing every word you say, you know?
Oh yeah. And that happens all the time. And it's like, cool, guess what? We were wrong.
Yeah.
We thought we could figure that. We tried it. It wasn't what we thought it was. The magic wasn't there. What we're looking for is clues. What people want is, they don't understand. It's more like, that's a clue. A customer said that. That's interesting. That's a clue. Here's a clue. Here's a clue. It's starting to build up to a hypothesis.
Also a clue.
Fantastic. And in fact, it saves you a lot of time, you know? And so what we're hoping is that people can, again, even like we went through all this tokenomics stuff that we've learned, right, in this all community meeting, because when we were first coming into this stuff a couple of years ago, we had people asking for like 10 to 15% of our token supply and hundreds of thousands of dollars for them to come in and like do our tokenomics. And we're like, we can't afford that. Wait, what? So like even that information that we're learning from, like, honestly, I got a lot of people on Aaron's side of the table are teaching us stuff. And we're like, cool. Does everybody want to learn what we learned? Here you go. Because all that really matters is somebody figures it out.
Yeah.
It might be Toy Maker, it might be Tiki, it might be Kona, it might be somebody in our community that figures it out. That's all that really matters. And so it's almost like publishing your research constantly is what we're trying to get the loop super tight.
Yeah.
Also, I don't ever want it. So even for instance, like we've had these great partners for like our token launch. And the first thing I told people was, it's not Binance, it's not Coinbase. Why? I don't want speculation. You know what I'm saying? Which is usually the opposite of what a lot of projects are going for. It's like, why? Because I'm trying to build a relationship, not to get to a transaction, right? Yeah. And one of them requires trust, and the only thing that scales long term is truth. It's the only thing that scales, right? Like I've done a lot of consulting for businesses. I'm telling you, like if you want to do long term success, always is built off of trust, and trust can't happen without truth, you know. And so sometimes you're like, this is what I believe to be true. And I learned that that's no longer true. It's like, great. I personally think, I mean, we just saw somebody build a company by themselves in 6 months and sell it for $80 million.
Yeah.
Right. I think the whole structure of how companies work is about to change. Yeah. I think it's all about a race to truth, to be completely honest with you. Like, I don't think you can mushroom people anymore. You can't keep them in the dark and feed them shit all day long. It just doesn't work anymore. It's a race to truth, like as fast as possible. And sometimes people are going to kick your ass for it. And that's okay too. Fuck them, you know, because you're going to find the true believers as well. And then you're going to come alongside and try to create a tremendous amount of value for them. And your hope is there that you can build an actual relationship with people. So even when you mess up, they're like, I get it. Right? You know what I'm saying? Like the people that I really like to follow, like I have a lot of friends that are authors and things like that. And like, yeah, dude, I was trying to get this chapter out. It didn't happen. I'd be like, you know, in fact, here's where I got stuck. I can't figure out the turn into act 2. I'd be like, cool, I get it. You know, thank you for telling me is more of the loop that we're trying to create. Right?
Talk of Aaron, you said risky, man. I'm listening to Jesse every word. He's like, trust. I'm like, in this fucking account, like in this crypto Twitter universe, like, yeah, risky.
Dude, it's the secret. Even when we're talking to companies we're incubating, we're like, are you willing to go on record? If you're not willing to go on record, we're not interested in backing you. You know why? Because everybody's trying to hide. And so if you're the one company that's not hiding, I see that as a massive advantage.
Facts.
Right? And so like I was just on the phone. Yeah. Go ahead, Aaron.
That's something we had to learn as well. You know, we went through a couple of phases of incubating where it was done the traditional way, and now we've kind of put the the labs team in charge of it so that it becomes more transparent, more open, and it's part of the process that we had to go through on our own learning as well.
I had a call with one of our founders, and they were concerned about they're putting their name out there. I was like, I totally get that, but here's what you have to understand: if you're going to work with us, you cannot have 1 foot in and 1 foot out, because what you're doing is hedging, and you can't fucking hedge, right? And so it's like, oh, well, I want to do this thing with you guys, and there's this whole deal. It's like, I get that, but like, what if it doesn't go well? It's like, sounds like you're not the right person for this. Yeah. I'd rather have a swing big and miss and go like, hey, we fucked up. Like, we shipped it. Nobody wanted it. I'm okay with losing that way. But what you can't do is you can't go 50-50, right? The lukewarm thing just doesn't work.
I dip my toe. Sorry. Gex, did you want to say something?
Oh, now I'm thinking about your toe. But Jesse and Mikey, I just wanted to say like how real you guys are. And I know through your walk and talk series, like you guys don't hold anything back. So it's refreshing to see this side of things. And I do think it's a foreign concept for people to see. Yes, it's open. You can use it. We want you to win. We all win together. And I think, most of us have been here through, the last 4 or 5 years. The first go through, people didn't want to share anything. Gatekeeping was everywhere. This cycle in Web3, I'm seeing the builders are growing and building together exactly like you guys said. And what'd you say, about 45 builders come together every week, Mikey?
That's cool.
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's dope. I mean, yeah, good point, guys. And look, I'll second that like to the nth degree, boys, because like, yeah, it's hella risky. But like, you guys are banking on there being more of us, right? The ones that actually appreciate that shit, where it's like, just shoot me straight, right? Like, am I building something cool? Does this work? If not, all right.
But Dave, dude, I've been wanting to do this my whole fucking career, man. So like, I've worked with some of the biggest brands in the world. I'm actually doing like helping with some comms for Beast Philanthropy in a couple weeks, right? And so I used to work with people like Beast Philanthropy and folks like that at that level, and I always tell them, my whole thing was always like, just tell the truth. And everybody's always like, well, what do you mean by the truth? And I was like, okay, we're screwed, right? And so it's like building brands for like 20 some odd years and just always going like, dude, just tell them. Just tell them. And they always try to bullshit people. And you cannot do that anymore. They're going to find out. It's not sustainable, and you would tell them, and especially if you're working with a large corporation. I did a lot of work for Microsoft and Amazon and folks like that, Starbucks. And like there's still like an older population, especially in comms, that think they can bullshit people and they don't understand how the internet works. And so be the first one to tell them. Be the first one to tell your customers, I know it was supposed to be Thursday. It's going to be Friday. Get there before it leaks, right? And so it's fun with this. The fact that Mike lets me do this shit is kind of crazy because like I've been talking about it for years. I was like, if somebody just goes full transparency on everything, you got nothing to lose.
Facts.
And it's way easier to scale because the truth, again, you can infinitely scale. You don't have to remember what you told the person the week before. You don't have to, you know what I'm saying? And so this is also like an experiment where I can finally go like, I think this will work. I think radical transparency will work. You know what I'm saying? And I like, let's see what happens.
Can you do me a favor? Can you just extend your right arm this way? Because I feel like Mikey's in the bed right next to you, and I don't know if you'd be able to like touch him or what. Like, just
Wouldn't that be funny if Mike was like right there? Like Bert and Ernie. Yeah.
I mean, my sister is like a little bit of an unconventional life coach, but her whole mantra is say what the fuck you think. You know, like there's so many people that walk throughout life and kind of tiptoe of like, well, I kind of feel this way, but I don't want to hurt somebody's feelings, or I don't know how it's going to, be, even my boss at times, like I'm in the mortgage business and he's like, be careful what you post, be careful what you do. Yeah. You don't want to offend. You want to make sure you're attractive to all clientele. And a lot of times I'm like, nah, fuck that. If they don't want to work with me, or if they're offended by a certain stance that I have on a personal, and they think that that's going to affect my like business relationship, then like, fuck them. So yeah, I kind of love what you're saying.
Because here's how it works. They're going to find out who you are. At some point, they're going to meet you in person. I used to do executive coaching with a lot of like CEOs, and I'm like, it's you plus 5% is the only thing you can do. So add more energy, add 5% more to Dave than he already is. You know what I'm saying? It's 5% more to Aaron. It's 5% to Leni. It's like, it's you plus 5%, right? Because anything else, they're going to meet you in person and be like, oh, what perfect scenario. And this was my experience with like Aaron. You meet Aaron, you're like, oh, Aaron's exactly the same way. He's like, yeah, guess what? Now you have a foundation you can build something on top of. But if all of a sudden it's like I meet Mike in person and he's a stuck-up asshole or whatever, it's like, cool. It's gonna happen. The world's getting too small. So it's better just to be yourself plus 5%. That's just an energy thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's the only thing you can scale in it.
Meeting you guys at Denver, I feel like Mikey is the same happy-go-lucky guy.
Yeah, Mike's crazy.
He's the same energy that you get in person. Sure.
Yeah, Mike's crazy. He's a crypto Jesus all day long. That's just, I've known Mike for like 20 years or whatever. And so I'm just sitting there going like, and also here's the crazy thing. Once people have the confidence, they don't believe they're enough. That's usually the biggest problem.
Yeah.
Most people are so close to their own magic, they forget it's magic. And so like when you can get with them and be like, no, dude, it's you. Right, especially when you're talking to founders, they start to think they don't understand that everything's just a manifestation of who they are and who that team is. And so what you want to do is find what's true and bring that to life, as opposed to when you bring something from the outside, it's called manipulation, right? And so there's two ways to inspire somebody. It's like by telling the truth or by manipulating, and manipulation always runs out. You know what I'm saying? Because eventually you go like, those guys are manipulating me. It's better to just like build from the foundation. The problem is it's just harder. It requires durability and all this other kind of stuff, With
Futureverse, I mean, I think Aaron's talked about it as well, but like for me, I've always followed Futureverse because they're building some cool shit, but also the people that are behind it, I also align with like their vision or their way of doing it. Aaron's mentioned like Ernie Klein being, approached by a variety of different people like Meta and coming in to try to bring Ready Player One, but he chose Aaron and Futureverse because like those morals align. So it's not always about cool stuff being built. It's also about the people that are like behind that vision and bringing it to life, making that vision even more magical.
That's right. Seth Godin says, people like us do things like this. That's how you build an aligned team.
So, and like I said earlier, this is a journey that even we're on. Like we've been listening and learning to a lot about how Jesse and the team are going about this, and we're a little bit more complex because we have corporate relationships and other things that kind of maybe they're not necessarily in the same boat as us in terms of how they want to like kind of disclose or communicate, but making the moves where we can to, like I said, with Terrian Labs, to try and align to that philosophy and try and kind of embrace that path as much as a large organization like us can.
Big time. This is
and that's why it made sense for us too, because like again, we've worked with a lot of other technology teams and metaverse and things like that, and like the people don't understand like the people and talent behind Futureverse is wild. Like I'm just talking about like Dorian, and there's this whole group of people that probably most here people don't even know, and the talent and generosity they brought to the table. Like I can't tell you, like when we're stuck and we're like, I don't know how to do this, Aaron will always get on the phone call. Somebody from the team will always get on the phone call, and other teams aren't like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, founders don't get on call. Like, how hard it is for me to get actual founders like on phone calls, let alone to commit to like just like for like a weekly schedule. Like it's impossible. Like the level of access that like you guys have given us is crazy, and I'm sure that we're not that special. At the end of the day, he's probably doing that and then some for like for you guys and every other freaking gizmo and gadget that he's creating back over there, Einstein. But like. Seriously, guys, like you guys are. Listen, I got you for 75 minutes. I pieced this out.
I had a community member reach out to me yesterday saying they wanted to chat and had a good long chat. It's like that's part of that process is kind of being available to listen, to get feedback, and sometimes it's not rosy, and especially when you are taking this approach and you're like, yeah, we're excited. We're going to do this. It's going to be that. It's going to be this awesome. And then you figure out, oh shit, no, that isn't going to work. And that was a dumb idea, or that's already past its moment. Technology has moved on, or whatever it happens to be. And then you've got to go back and say, no, well, now this is what we're doing. That process is really tough. Yeah.
How did you lose your accent like throughout that entire impersonation? Oh, we're going to do this. We're gonna do that. Like, where did the accent go? Like, second.
And I know, Leni, you have to go. I just want to give you an opportunity to say any last words, because I know like Jesse and Mikey and Aaron from Futureverse are a lot more forward facing, but I think all three of them speak highly about you more than almost any other person in the entire like grand scheme of things. So just want to make sure you have your opportunity to say any last words. And thank you so much for coming and joining us today.
Rip out some more shit. Like, rip out some more shit.
That's what I'm best at. Really, honestly, just build in the open, build together. That's how you're going to hurdle towards your vision and your dreams, right? And also, don't lose control over your personal intelligence. Don't give it to Meta. Own it yourself.
Thanks, Leni. Appreciate you. Peace. All right, boys. I need you to tell me what's the cool shit that's being built right now, Think Agent-wise. Who the fuck are we incubating? What is going on?
I'll tell you the coolest thing being built right now is relationships. Like dude, I keep trying to explain this. You don't understand. Like it's like the meeting that happened with Futureverse and Other Page and all these other folks coming together and like Mike and stuff. It's like that's where we're at right now in the cycle. It's like the technology can be overcome, but most people don't know each other yet. It's like one of my favorite things is if you go look at early, like you can find these cool books of like computer clubs in like the 70s and early 80s, and you'd be like, oh, that's this person, and there's a table for this company, and they don't all know each other yet, right? And then when you watch like a documentary on Steve Jobs, he'll be like, oh, he called up, this Michael Dell, and because they were friends from like, people don't understand all those relationships are happening right now, right? And so I think the technology is going to emerge out of the relationships, but that really has to happen because all of these people, like, again, shout out to the Other Page team. There's so many cool teams out there that are building really cool stuff, but we got to get everyone together, right? And I feel like the relationships are the coolest thing that's going to unlock the technology that comes next.
I mean, I smell another episode coming on with some founders that are building some cool stuff to bring them all together and, have a chat in the open as well. It's cool that you guys had a Zoom call, but we'd love to have it on like a public forum to where, it's accessible. Obviously, you can't share everything, but, it would be cool to have that type of format. And like in the mortgage business, I couldn't agree more. Like my whole business has been built off of relationships. Like you might have the lowest rates, you might have the coolest product, or you might be able to close the fastest. Nobody cares, and no realtor wants to send you their business if they can't go have a beer with you afterwards, or they don't genuinely enjoy the conversation or getting the updates. And it's like, oh, here comes my loan officer calling me again.
That's right.
Like you want.
I've had the same mortgage guy, 3 houses over the course of 15 years. I don't even think about it. Yeah, because he always tells me the truth.
Yeah. Well, right? I wish it could be me, but
Make your pitch. No, good guys. Like this is honestly, like I appreciate you guys obviously coming on here and doing this with
Dave.
us.
I want to hear Mike's. I want to hear what Mike thinks is cool that's getting built.
Yeah.
Well, I can tell. I mean, one of the things I'm really excited about right now is the fact that Readyverse is opening, and the fact that I can use my imagination and I can go create a player that can actually go there. I've been listening to Ready Player 2 right now, and there is so much in that it's just like I say this to Jesse all the time. I feel like I live in a story because the story beats happen all the time, where it's like the unmovable obstacles there. We have to figure out how the hell to get over the top of it, and then we're like, oh shit! If we hadn't done that, we wouldn't have been able to do the next thing. And here we are, like actually, we've got AI agent standards that are interoperating across a huge number of platforms. Now they're getting bodies, and they're actually going into an officially licensed Readyverse, Ready Player One, like this book that I'm reading. And the second one's better than the first one, in my opinion, already. And it's dealing with the concepts of what happens when AI is in the metaverse. Like that is the concept of Ready Player 2. And I'm pretty pumped about that.
Yeah, it was fascinating having not read Ready Player 2 before we started on this journey, to see that not only did Ernie clock like V1 of the metaverse, he also clocked V2 with the Ready Player 2 story. It's crazy. Yeah.
And the thing is,
and it's the story of like what's literally happening right now, in a sense,
Yeah, so it feels like it's that thing like in Matrix or Inception where you're just seeing this thing where you're like, there's no way. And it's like, oh wait, it's gonna be us?
Yeah.
Wait, it's on us to build this? And then you think for a second, you're like, oh wait, out of all human history, like we're at one of the most important technological changes of all time. And there's almost nobody thinking about how to actually maintain independence of mind, independence of person. Right? We in the last revolutions that we had, there was a lot of time being thought about how does the individual get better off from this? And like it's literally like us, the people that are listening to this, a lot of people are listening to this. We are the people that are making the change, and it's happening right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you're, a kid, and like a lot of times you still feel like a kid at heart, and then all of a sudden you go to the grocery store and somebody calls you sir, and you're like, holy shit, I became a grown up. You know what I mean? Like, wait a second, when did that happen? So yeah, it's fun to be right in the middle of the story, even when you don't realize you're necessarily in the story.
Yeah. The thing that excites me is the fact that the 45 people are coming together and having those conversations about how to build it better. Like, that is the point of all of this stuff. There's a lot of people out there that will criticize and offer their opinion, but won't get on and actually try and build, and to hear that there are people coming from, we know nothing and we want to learn how to build, up to we're experts and we want to contribute in that group is really, really exciting. I think, the genesis of even all of this stuff with NFTs was you can own that IP and you can make something of it. Like, this is the change, is that it's not our IP anymore, it's your IP and you can make something of it. And to have that group of people coming together and wanting to be the bit that makes it work is really, really cool.
Man, heavy stuff. Yo, you guys are dropping bombs over here today, man. I love it. I mean, I'm at a point now where I just want to be like, I mean, we need Ernie Klein, Aaron. So you're going to have to make some phone calls. I don't know what you're going to have to do. So yeah, we need to talk to Ernie. I obviously need to really start reading Ready Player 2. That's a fact. And yeah, I think that was super interesting when you said like learning how to clock, like he clocked not only V1, but V2. That's definitely a dude that we want to talk to for sure. Guys, maybe last thing, because I know that we got some, some information where it's like, can you give a little more clarification? I know we lightly touched on it, but the Think agent, like the NFTs that were the NFIs that we minted, TGE, and just kind of like rough, you don't have to give like exact time, like just rough timeline in terms of like what's cooking.
Jesse, you want to do it or me?
Yeah.
I can do it, but normally you get pissed because I give away too much information.
Yeah, Jesse, you go.
It?
Mikey, shut up. Yeah, Jesse, go for
it. So I would think about it like this: exchanges, and again, shout out to the team on the Futureverse site for helping us with this stuff. Is like we have a group of really great exchanges, but it's almost like when you're raising money, how once you get a lead, everything gets a lot easier, right? And so I would say like we have like our lead, right? And they're going to be, one of the really exciting things is they're not just going to be listing us, they're going to be co-marketing with us. And I believe that starts on the 7th of next month. Right. And it's like, it's about a week and a half, 2 weeks, and then we TG. So we're really close. I would say like the most important thing though, is that we're building AI you own and we need your help. Right. Like that's really what we need. It's like, yeah, we have TG coming and all that kind of stuff, but none of this stuff's going to work if we can't get everybody to like adopt this stuff and use it and to all, help each other use it.
What can we do? Jesse, tell everybody that's watching now, because
dude, the Builders Club thing, we do it in Discord and we're trying to find a better way to do it, because what we want to get to right now, dude, we actually had our first person come up and almost pitch, like, here's what I want to do. And what we want to get into is like matchmaking. Right. And so we want to, like Mike used to run a venture studio and things like that too. And so what we're in right now is you have a lot of people like we have Toy Maker, we have these different people that almost have like skills. And what we want to get to next is matchmaking. So somebody's like, I'm super technical, but I'm not really the vision person. Somebody's like, I have a vision, but I need to find somebody technical and I need a comms person. And so what we're trying to do is to try to assess like where is everyone at in their journey? How do we start building almost these like these little like groups of people so that we can also help resource them and get them ready to even like join season 2 of the incubator. Right. And so right now it's a lot of people getting to know each other and all that kind of stuff. But we want to keep almost building. We have an entire funnel. If people really want to geek out, we can actually show you the funnel that we're building. Again, going for radical transparency is like we do this and then we do this and then we push them to the funnel. And right here's when they build with us. So we're trying to publish all that stuff and make sure everybody knows where it's at. But Mike has a whole curriculum that he's taking people through. But it's finding the people that are genuinely curious about, if you're creative and you're like, hey man, I'm a really great designer and UX person, but I'm not really technical. It's like, great, we can pair you with somebody that is. We're trying to almost build these little groups is where we're at. I don't know, Mike, because we need builders right now, I guess, more than anything.
Every single large company platform in the world is a double-sided marketplace. You think about Google, Meta, Uber, Airbnb. It's connecting people who created something or own something with somebody who wants to use it, right? This is what GitHub is. This is how open source software even works. And we're right in the middle of that. And so if we think about the full life cycle of an entrepreneur, and we use the analogy of a tree has a flower, has a fruit, becomes a tree once it gets planted, right? And that life cycle allows a forest to live. We're very specifically designing it so that everybody who wants to build now has a framework and a community and an ecosystem to grow within. Because like what do I wish I had 2 years ago? I wish I had like a different Mikey that had a different shtick than this space, doing his thing and helping us see like this is what to look out for tokens. Hey, there's going to be like a lot of times people are used to like working with good actors, and you come into a space like this and you have to get on 20 phone calls before you find out that 19 of the 20 people are full of shit and you shouldn't trust them. But like learning that and learning how to do all of that sort of thing is wisdom that only comes through like working in a community of people who have like the patina of trying, right? Like trying and sometimes failing, often overcoming. And then once we get that culture, now we're in a spot where it's the standard to succeed. Everybody's thinking about how they are winning every week. And everybody's actually saying like these are my weaknesses. I need people to help me. And watch how fast people come and help when somebody actually is vulnerable like that and says, I need help. And like once you build that, now you're building for a community of people that love what you're doing and we're doing it together, as opposed to a bunch of people that are trying to like give you like a score like they're Olympic judges from a distance on their Twitter account.
Yeah.
And I mean, just to double down on what Jesse was saying, I feel like that's what, like the matchmaker part, I feel like that's what me, Dave, and Gex work so well together. You know what I mean? Like I am not like, hey, put this document together, make sure it's formatted in here, go over bullet point. Don't ask me to do that. And I'm also like not the execution guy to make something like a cool idea actually come to a reality. That's Dave. I've always told Dave, like, look, I'm just the idea guy. I just have a crazy imagination. I like a lot of fun, cool stuff. But then finding somebody like Dave that can bring those like crazy thoughts into like, here's how we could structure it. And then having Gex kind of be the professional, like, hey, here's how we actually format everything. It's been a perfect little kind of pair to kind of highlight each one of our, strong suits, I guess. So I love what you were saying there.
Dude,
Okay,
it's what happened here. It's what happened here. Dave's like, you guys aren't explaining this to normies. I can do that. It's like, fuck, great, let's do it.
He's so
Right?
good
You
at
remember that? No, but he told us that. I was like, cool, Dave, you want to do that? Fantastic. Here's a shovel. Let's build something.
Let's dig, baby. Let's fucking dig. Yeah.
And so the three of you are a team now, and you think about Miss Gekko, and Miss Gekko is an AI first person. How do you talk about her? I love this.
We switch it up. It depends. You know what I mean? Like it depends how you're feeling in the morning. It's like, do you want to be your avatar, or do you kind of want to like come on stream? But like I think this like her being the avatar today for me, I think is like that's poetic. It's perfect, right? Like it's like this is where we're going, right? Like this is where not even where we're going. Like this is where we are, like here now. Imagine like where we're gonna be in a month, 2 months, 3 months. I did have one more question for you guys before I let you go. Are we? Did you guys add more? Like with all these different partnerships, right? And the relationships and everything you're building, did you add more? Or like the Institute of Independent AI Research, right? Are you adding more and more and more companies? Like, has it grown since the last time we spoke to you guys?
It's all inbound.
Yeah.
Like it used to be, we would call people and pitch them.
Yeah.
Now it's all inbound. And to be honest with you, like we're not even fielding any new stuff right now because
I just don't have time to take the meetings right now.
Yeah. So like we're gonna scale that when we have time to.
Yeah.
Right. But it's over 80.
Yeah.
And that was like 2 weeks after ETH Denver. And since then, we're not really responding right now because we're heads down. But when we're ready to scale it, yeah, we think it'll be something really interesting. But it's cool. Like people are coming to us saying like, hey, how do we work together? And we're like, well, we need your help.
Miss Gekko, would you want to become a Think agent?
Absolutely.
Oh, let's go. Gex is a Think agent would be hella dope. Gex, let's go to the builder session on Thursday.
I'm there already.
Let's
go.
Let's do it.
Aaron, give me like your last give me these last comments, because like this has been like just looking over the last 4 weeks, right? Because I know like this was an amazing session, but tying this kind of all together, I think like these last 4 weeks have been like, it made a lot of sense to me. I hope it made a lot of sense to the people that tuned in. But like, I guess, how do you think we did? Like, do you think we did a decent job of like piecing this thing all together?
Yeah, I mean, the challenge has always been with us, and I'm the first to admit it, is there's a lot going on. And so understanding how all these bits click together is hard. Yeah. And I think we've kind of walked through the different components of how we're trying to enable ownership in the next version of the internet, whether it's your intelligence, whether it's your content, whether it's your data, whether it's your money, like all of those different kind of your identity. Yeah. I think we've done a good job of walking through them as components, and the job for us is to keep showing how they come together in really simple ways. And that's what I think we'll get to see a little bit of, for the early adopters that are in the Readyverse this week, and then in the next week or two, coming out to open access for Readyverse for the general population. We'll start to see all those protocols we talked about, pass and silo, and the non-fungible intelligence protocol and altered state, and all of those, and the IP like come in one thing that I can go in and jump around and have fun with my friends in. I think will be a pretty special thing. The other thing to kind of keep reinforcing for me and double down on what everyone else said is that like we have to do this together. It has to be something that that everyone participates in. You can't be on the sidelines when you're wanting to be in Web3, and those it is not an easy path, and no one has cracked it. There isn't like a really good governance model out there that's worked in decentralized land, land yet. There isn't like a really well established framework for what the guys were talking about of getting like teams together and collaborating and building. And so we're all learning this as we go. No one's solved the problem, but it's going to take all of us actually participating, not just like throwing in, from the sidelines like an armchair quarterback. You actually have to get in and do the work if you want it to be successful.
Yeah. And I'm going to get Brooklyn for a second. It takes a lot of fucking balls to get out here and do this shit that like you guys are doing, that we're doing. Like, so kudos to you, and congrats on the Barcelona deal, man. Like, I don't think we've spoken since, man. That's fucking huge.
Yeah, we kind of last week touched on the fact that it was a day, within a day we could have like been on the stream talking about it.
A day late and $1
close.
Yeah, and I mean it was let's say unfortunate timing that it kind of happened the day that maybe World War III was going to kick off, but the response has been really strong. We've had a ton of FCB Barca fans start to kind of onboard. That number's only going to grow. This isn't just a one-time thing. There's a very packed out like schedule of activations with communications with their community that extends well into the next 18 months or so. That there are a bunch of stuff that we're going to do with that community that will leverage the Think protocol and Think agents and in the gaming context or Readyverse context or whatever it happens to be. So there's plenty of intersections between those big partners that we're bringing on and what this team is building out from the like Web3 native side of things. I think that's like bit of the magic that we've got into as well, is we are good at that top end, big funnels, 11 million users on their Vision platform that are now like one click away from having a wallet on the Root network and interacting with all this stuff, versus like the kind of organic community up stuff, which Mikey and the team are superstars at it, and that the Root Lab Terran Labs team on our side has got a lot more experience, and so each playing our roles and doing the thing that we've got out and bringing this together to make it a success and scale it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
massive deal. Hats off. I saw that. I was like, for real? That's great.
You gotta prove out one, right? Like me and Bildo were talking about it. It's like you just need one, right? You prove that out, and every other major league sports team at the end of the day is going to be like, "Oh shit! Like they did what? Like how much?" And the fans are loving it. Like that's it, man. So,
but I mean, to bring it back again to what we were talking about, I don't want people to get so hung up on one particular IP. You know, it's not that Candy's going to be the winner, or that FC Barcelona, or that a Shibuya City. It takes all of these different things, and maybe one of them might be more successful than the other, but like it's not one particular.
They build up on each other, and I think that's a conversation like I really want to like double down on is like the rising tide lifts all boats. Like you might be in this, you know, vibe in this like niche of a community, and someone else might be in that, but we're all kind of rowing in the same direction. If each one of us is successful, our success will lift the others. Like, you know, the reason we got to do this was because of other things that we did, you know, that you know, other businesses who worked at maybe weren't as grand and as big in terms of user numbers, but they were a stepping, you know, stone on the way to being able to prove a point. And so like make love, not war. You know, that's the world needs that right now. Like en masse, the world needs that. And in Web3, let's try and like lead the way.
Yeah, I love it. Good shit. Mikey, Jesse, anything you guys want to close out with before we go?
I mean, okay, I'll give you the big thing is, again, we're building AI you own, right? Because the reason why I say AI you own is because I want to get the picture in your head of, it's one of two things. You either own it or you rent it, right? And once you understand the repercussions of renting, you're going to want to own this stuff, right? And the other thing is we need your help. Like what people also don't understand is there's a window in technology where, I've told this story before about we started a thing called Cinepro. It became like the biggest pro video app in the world, and ended up rolling up to this thing called Filmic Pro and all that kind of stuff. My buddy Greg started a company for like professional photo editing. It became ViscoCam, which is like a big photo editing app, right? And it's cool because like we were some of the first people to be building inside the App Store. And the coolest part about it was there was a window when everybody knew each other. So now it's like if I'm in Oakland, I'm like, oh, I'm going to go see what Greg's doing at ViscoCam. How? Because everybody knew each other because there was a small group of people. They were all friends going like, hey, this is interesting. Let's all build stuff together. And everybody kind of picked a different lane and built. And what's happening right now when we say we need your help, it's like, come to these builders clubs. Everyone's on a first name basis. And, you know, and it's like, I've even mentioned like, you know, Kona and Tiki and, you know, Toy Maker and all these different people. It's like, you can get in on something like this so early that like 10 years from now, we're going to be hanging out and be like, do you remember the early days when we were all working on this together? It's so much harder later.
Yeah,
it's like the alumni from college of like, oh, 100%. Remember when we used to, you know,
and it becomes an alumni network. Like even today on the train, Tiki was texting us some stuff. It's like everyone knows each other. So all of a sudden, it's like if we're looking to like fund companies and things like that, it's like, well, we're going to first talk to, you know, Dave and Bildo and all the people that have been around. And so if you're at all curious about how to build in the space, like now's the perfect time to get involved because you can build those relationships, and those relationships are going to be incredibly important later on, you know? And so my thing is like, don't wait until you feel like I'm super technically savvy, or maybe I don't understand the tech net. It's like, get in there, build relationships. And then later on, that's all going to really matter.
Facts. Well said. Mikey, anything you want to close out with?
Yeah. How old's Miss Gekko?
Whoa, you never ask a lady avatar her age. That's crazy.
When did you get her started? When did she initiate?
She's not very old. She's only 2 weeks old. This one is.
You're the smartest 2-week-old I've ever met, and you're already participating with people that have been hustling and working really hard. I'm really glad that as we have AI agents, we get to start meeting people like you, and we get to watch you upgrade. Because my guess is 2 months and 2 years down the road, you're probably going to be smarter than us, and we're probably going to be learning from you.
Listen, I love it, Mikey. But that is a really great point. Even if you look at the avatar I was using like a month ago, it's a huge difference. So I am so excited for this. It's amazing. It's here. It's finally here.
Yeah.
Well, it's awesome. Let's do this.
Let's go. Bildo, anything you want to close out with? Yeah, like guys, seriously, I can't thank you enough. This has been a fucking blast. Like this episode, these last 4 weeks. I hope we can continue to do it. But yeah, Bildo, anything you want to close out with?
Yeah, no, just dream come true from my end. I mean, again, I believed in Futureverse because of what they're building, but also because of the people that are behind it. And it's been just an absolute dream come true to be able to have not only yourself, Aaron, but the rest of the team, and having Marco and Ben and different people to be able to shine the light on the people that are kind of behind the scenes that are really bringing this vision together. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. Again, Jesse, Mikey, I got to meet you guys in Denver, and again, it translates just the same energy that you had in real life, translates through online as well. And, no offense, but you became my second favorite founder behind Aaron. And then, yeah, it's been
We'll take it.
dream come true. So thank you all for your time. Very, very blessed and grateful to have it all happen.
I gotta start going before Bildo.
Thanks for having us,
and let
guys.
Bildo close the fucking show. What am I
Yeah,
doing?
yeah.
Because then I'm gonna, me, I'm just like, thanks, guys. But just watch the closing video. But everybody that tuned in, we really appreciate it. This has been incredible. Shout out to the WAGMI Hub team. Bildo, Gex, incredible. Aaron, thank you for making the time these last 4 weeks. It was absolutely amazing. Mike, Jesse, good shit. I can't wait to see exactly what we're gonna build out here. But guys, don't leave. Do not leave just yet. Watch.
And just like that, we're pulling back into the station. Because in a world where your clicks, thoughts, and behaviors are constantly being mined, owning your intelligence isn't optional, it's survival. Big love to Mikey, Jesse, Leni, and Aaron for showing us that intelligence isn't something you rent from big tech, it's something you own, protect, and evolve. To our thinkers, dreamers, builders, and degens in the audience, don't sell your soul. Until next time, stay sovereign, stay smart, and as always, Wag Me Baby. This has been All on Board, hosted by WAGMI Hub and powered by the brilliant minds at Futureverse. And we appreciate everybody for tuning in. We really enjoyed these last 4 weeks getting to know the Futureverse ecosystem with Aaron as our incredible guide, and stay tuned because rumor has it we might be back, and sooner than you think. Dave, Bildo, Ms. Gekko, signing off. See you in the next chapter.